There is an ancient parable that has survived for over 2,000 years. It is told in villages across Asia, in tribes across Africa, in farmlands across Europe, different languages, different cultures, but always the same story, the parable of the two seeds. And today, in 2026, this ancient story has become the most important lesson your generation has never heard. Because right now, nearly half of all young people in America, the UK, Canada, and Australia are making a choice that will define the rest of their lives. A choice that seems small, a choice that seems logical, a choice that feels like survival. But it is the choice that destroys futures before they begin. This is that story. Long ago, in a time of great famine, there lived two young men. We will call them Isaac and Eli. Both were the same age. Both came from the same village. Both had nothing, no land, no wealth, no inheritance. One morning, after weeks of hunger, a traveling merchant arrived and gave each young man a single precious seed, not gold, not silver, a seed. The merchant said, "This seed can do two things. You can plant it and wait through a long season, and it will grow into a tree that feeds you for the rest of your life. Or you can grind it into flour today and have bread tonight. The choice is yours." And then he left. Isaac looked at his seed. His stomach was empty. His children were crying from hunger. The future felt so far away. The present pain felt so immediate. He thought, "What good is a tree in 5 years if I starve tonight?" So Isaac ground his seed into flour. He baked bread and he ate. For one night the hunger stopped. Eli also looked at his seed. His stomach was just as empty. His family was just as hungry. But Eli asked a different question. He asked, "What will I eat in 5 years if I consume my only seed today?" So Eli planted his seed. He went to bed hungry that night, and the night after, and the night after that. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The hunger was unbearable. But Eli did not dig up his seed. 5 years later, the merchant returned to the village. He found Isaac, still hungry, still struggling, still searching for the next seed someone might give him. He found Eli sitting under a tree so large its branches shaded half the village, a tree whose fruit fed not just Eli's family, but 20 families around him. The merchant asked Isaac, "Where is your tree?" And Isaac said, "I ate my seed. I had no choice. I was starving." The merchant shook his head slowly. He said, "You were not starving, my son. You were afraid. And fear made you choose the comfort of tonight over the survival of tomorrow." This is not just a story about seeds. This is the story of an entire generation. Right now, in 2026, research shows that 49%, nearly half, of Generation Z believes that planning for the future is pointless. Let that sink in. 1 in every 2 young people believes the future is not worth investing in. And the numbers behind this belief are even more devastating. In just 1 year, from 2024 to 2025, financial insecurity among Gen Z jumped 60%. 43% say they are not on track to save for retirement. 55% don't have enough savings to survive 3 months if something went wrong. And when you ask them why, the answer is always the same. What is the point? The cost of living is impossible. I will never afford a house anyway. I will never retire. So why sacrifice today for a tomorrow that will never come? Do you hear it? Do you hear Isaac's voice in that answer? I was starving. I had no choice. What good is a tree in 5 years if I starve tonight? But here is the truth that nobody is saying out loud. Gen Z is not starving. Gen Z is afraid. There is a difference. Starving means you have no options. Afraid means you cannot see the option that requires patience. And that fear, that inability to see past today, is causing an entire generation to grind their seeds into flour and call it survival, when it is actually the slowest form of starvation. Let me be very clear about something. The cost of living is high. Housing prices are insane. The economic system has broken in ways your parents never faced. All of that is true. But here is what is also true. Eating your seed because the harvest feels impossible does not fix the broken system. It guarantees you will be trapped in it forever. There is a concept in economics called economic nihilism. It means believing the system is so broken that trying to build wealth is pointless. And when people believe that, they do something devastating. They stop planting entirely. Instead of saving, they spend. Instead of investing, they gamble. Instead of building, they consume. Cryptocurrency, sports betting, day trading meme stocks, buying things they do not need with money they do not have, not because they are stupid, but because when the future feels hopeless, the present becomes everything. Researchers call it age and money dysmorphia, the feeling that you have lost time, that you are already behind, that everyone else is ahead and you will never catch up. So you panic, and panic makes you eat your seeds. But here's what nobody told you. The person who panics and consumes and the person who waits and builds are not living in different economies. They are living in different philosophies. Isaac and Eli had the same famine, the same hunger, the same impossible situation. The only difference was their question. Isaac asked, "How do I survive tonight?" Eli asked, "How do I survive the next 5 years?" That question, that one question, is the difference between a life of desperate survival and a life of compounding abundance. And Generation Z has stopped asking Eli's question. So what does planting your seed actually look like in 2026? It does not mean becoming a millionaire overnight. It does not mean following some guru's get-rich-quick scheme. It does not mean pretending the system is fair. Planting your seed means this. 1. Every single dollar you earn, no matter how small, is a seed. You can consume it all today, or you can plant 10% of it and let it grow. $50 a month planted at age 22 becomes $150,000 by age 60. That is not a motivational poster. That is compound interest. That is math. That is what Eli understood and Isaac did not. 2. Your skills are seeds. You can spend your 20s consuming content, chasing trends, looking for shortcuts. Or you can spend your 20s building one deep skill, writing, coding, speaking, building, creating, and become someone the world needs in 10 years. One path makes you replaceable. One path makes you irreplaceable. 3. Your attention is a seed. You can spend it scrolling, betting, gaming, numbing. or you can spend it reading, learning, thinking, creating. What you plant your attention in today becomes what grows in your mind tomorrow. Now here is the hardest truth. Planting seeds requires what this generation was never taught: delayed gratification, the ability to feel discomfort today for the promise of peace tomorrow. And I will not lie to you. It is hard, harder than it was for your parents, harder than it was for any generation before you. But hard does not mean impossible. And giving up because it is hard is exactly how you guarantee it becomes impossible. There is a reason the parable of the two seeds has survived 2,000 years. Because every generation faces a famine. Every generation feels the hunger. Every generation is tempted to eat their seed and call it survival. But the generations that thrive are not the ones who had it easier. They are the ones who planted anyway. So tonight I want you to ask yourself one question. Not, is the system fair? Not, will I ever catch up? Not, what is the point? Ask this. Am I Isaac or am I Eli? Am I eating my seeds because the future feels impossible? Or am I planting them because the future is inevitable, and I want to be ready when it comes? You do not need to plant a forest tonight. You need to plant one seed, $10 into savings, 1 hour into a skill, one choice that serves your future self instead of your present fear. Just one. And then tomorrow, plant another. Because here is the final truth of the parable. Isaac did not fail because he was weak. He failed because he could not see past tonight. Eli did not succeed because he was special. He succeeded because he could see 5 years ahead. The famine is real. The hunger is real. The broken system is real. But your seeds are real too. And what you do with them today will determine whether you are still hungry 5 years from now, or sitting under a tree that feeds you for the rest of your life. Plant your seeds. Thanks for watching WiseTalez. See you in the next story.